Welcome back. This is part 3 of taking the DJI Z-Axis you see here, and that was an accessory to an older Osmo version, in this case the Osmo Plus, and adapting that Z-Axis to work with the newer Pocket series of cameras, and in this case Pocket 2 over here on the right and the Pocket 3, the latest and greatest, over on the left, already balanced, mounted in the Z-axis, as you can see. In video part 1, we made an aluminum insert that went inside this plastic cap, which is this top section of black you see here. And that aluminum insert not only strengthened that plastic cap, but also provided a mounting point to this side bracket assembly, which goes all the way down to there. And we made that in video part 2, or the link for those videos will be in the description down below. And here in video part 3, I promised to do some field testing, and it'll be a split screen version. The Z-axis will always be on the left, and the more rigid mounted camera will be on the right. I'll be swapping between the two cameras. Like sometimes I'll put the Osmo Pocket 2 in the Z-axis just to do a fair comparison of how well the Z-axis actually performs. And to keep an eye on both of those cameras, I'm using the Canon G7X Mark II, and mainly going to have that on. You can probably see here. It'll keep an eye on what the Z-axis is doing, how much it's moving. Both cameras will be filming in 4K 60. This only does 1080p 60. The setup I got here to hold it all together is mostly aluminum. A lot of parts and pieces left over from other projects I had going. Just kind of a poor man's rigging assembly here. But the top bracket here, that's a 1/2 inch by 1 inch aluminum. I believe that's the same also. This bottom bracket you see here, it's 3/8 by 1, and that's also 3/8 by 1 up here holding the G7X. And I got a steel post here, 1 inch diameter, and aluminum extension for that, 1 inch diameter also. This post you see down here will be for the handheld versions of the video. It just kind of gives me a better grip on there. I'll be taking that off when I do the bicycle testing and probably also the Bronco road testing. Now, I originally didn't intend to do a spoiler alert at the beginning of this video, but I also didn't really want to waste any viewers' time out there. The handheld video testing, the Z-axis did seem to help the image stabilization in most situations. It kind of takes away that rocking motion a little bit. As far as the bicycle and Bronco mounting tests, my original intent for those were to be kind of use them as an extreme test, you know, get them on a real rough road, just see how much the Z-axis actually helps in those situations. But as it turns out, it doesn't help at all. Even on smooth roads, it's still, vibrations just seem to shake everything. In fact, in many situations, it seems like the Z-axis is actually worse than the solid mounted side. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and show, I probably got about 25 clips of video tests. I'm gonna go ahead and show all of those anyways. The Bronco testing and the bicycle testing, I'll just make those probably like real short clips. If there's anything that pops out of the ordinary, I'll go ahead and show that. The handheld testing, that'll probably be a little bit longer since that was more of a success there. So since I was going to go ahead and show all the clips, I was going to just leave them in chronological order, and I believe the first video testing was with the bicycle. Somewhere in there, I'll get off the bike and take a hike through the woods. So I mean, they're kind of all mixed together. The Bronco testing, I think some of that's towards the end, but then I try some different ideas to try to make this more stable. That'll be one of the last videos. And I think the very, very last video will be kind of an extreme handheld testing, just moving my arms all around and stuff and just seeing what improvement on the extreme end of that the Z-Axis can do. Yeah, so we're starting out with the bicycle testing, and I'll go ahead and show the mount, how I mounted that to the bike. Attached to the bicycle's top tube is this 1-inch tube clamp, and as you can see, I had to drill a small hole between the insulator and the end cap to allow the rear brake cable to pass through. Welded to the top of that is a piece of 1.25 inch steel tubing. It's about 10.5 inches long. And on top of that is a piece of 3/16 by 1.25 inch by 2.5 flat bar. It's got 3 1/4 20 threaded holes in it, although we'll only be using the front and rearmost holes to attach the aluminum rigging assembly to. I originally wanted to attach it all to the handlebars, but I figured with all the erratic steering common with a bicycle that the frame-mounted option would be the better choice. And here we are with the rig fully assembled to the bike. And just so you know that I am totally aware of how ridiculous this looks, if I was actually able to get some decent footage with this setup, then maybe I would have an excuse. But since it was a complete failure, as you will soon see, you won't find me testing this on the streets of Portland with the rest of the Spandex Mafia. I will be solely riding this in the most secluded of logging roads and unpopular trails. By today's standards, the bike alone is embarrassing enough. I got it in 4th grade, which would have put it in the very early 80s, a little before mountain bikes became popular, at least in my area growing up. Friends made fun of me at first, but once they saw how I could sit on my seat and climb up hills they had to walk their bikes up, that all stopped. And as birthdays and Christmases rolled around, I started seeing more and more mountain bikes in my little circle of friends. But yeah, it's a Schwinn Sidewinder 5-speed, and the only suspension it has that the cameras may benefit from will be the narrow cushion of air in the tires. The perfect platform, or so I thought, for torture testing. As far as road testing with the Bronco, I decided to employ the front section of the canoe rack I made back in the early to mid-90s. I wanted the cameras up high enough so that I could keep an eye on them in case something started to fail or come loose. I could maybe stop before running over anything of value. But other than the mounting point itself, which required one hole to be drilled in the rack, the rest of the rig is the exact same as what I used on the bike. Alright, so we are 8 minutes in and I haven't done... So let's get started with the failed bicycle test footage. Again, while in the split screen mode, the Z-axis image will always be on the left, and the first to ride on the Z will be the Osmo Pocket 3. The first 10 or so clips will be from behind a gated-off logging road that parallels Winston Creek in the Mossy Rock, Washington area. Let's get over here where it's a little rougher. See how I go this branch. Okay. There's a pothole. I'll take this kind of slow. Looks like a pretty big one. Okay, I think I'm going to swap the cameras here. Yeah, we got the Osmo Pocket 2 and a Z-axis this time. I got, let's see, turn it down a little bit. It's about 2 1/4 turns lighter on the adjustment knob there to make it balanced. And the Osmo Pocket 3 is over on the right. That seemed to bottom out on the Z-axis. There's a hard one. If we're go for a double pothole here. creek. Right down the middle here where it's kind of rocky. At this point, I removed the 1/8 by 1 flat bar that the right side camera was attached to and mounted it directly to the 1/2 inch by 1 main top frame as an attempt to try to stabilize that side camera a little bit. But what it did was it moved it down about 1 inch and towards the back about 2.5 inches. So in certain situations, you might see the Z-axis appear in that right side camera's image off to the left side of the screen in certain situations. For some reason, the Osmo Pocket 3 started listing counterclockwise, so I had to stop and correct that with the joystick. This would be a good spot to maybe do some walking. Let's go try it. Got the Osmo Pocket 3 on the left in the Z-axis and the Pocket 2 on the right. So we're just going to go into the woods here. Maybe we can make it to the creek and we'll see what off-trail hiking does. It's not too swampy. It looks pretty muddy. Let's see here. Oop. There has to be a mud ditch here. What's up here? Okay, we'll do a walking test here on the smooth ground. Okay, and I'll do a little jog back. Wait. Okay. I saw a trail over here, or like an old skidder road. We'll see what that does. So we got a couple of logs to cross. And again, the Osmo Pocket 2 is on the left, and the Pocket 3 is on the right. Of course, left is in the Z-Axis. Side swipe here. I'm going to change the white balance. It looks kind of horrible. And we're at 4,000 Kelvin. See what this green patch is up here. Starting to get dark, so I'm going to swap them back around, and then we'll continue on back home. Got the Osmo Pocket 3 in the Z-axis on the left, and the number 2 is on the right without the Z-axis. And it's starting to get dark. It's probably sunset now, but I'm still leaving it at 4,000 Kelvin. Yeah, so head on down now. I was only intending this to be a bike test today, so I'm getting my shoes pretty muddy. I'm going to change, stop here. I'm going to change the white balance to auto on all three cameras just for a comparison. And yeah, we got the auto white balance activated on all three cameras. Still have the Osmo Pocket 3 on the left in the Z-Axis. We're probably getting to the point where it's a good low light test here also. I'll get this hooked back on the bike and we'll continue on back. Forgot to put it in low gear before I stopped. Come on. Okay, both cameras are still on auto white balance and -7 EV. Not sure why, but the Pocket 3 lost focus somewhere along the way. And even while standing still, it remained out of focus. It did try to regain focus again somewhere just past the gate, but it appeared that even then it was still struggling quite a bit. I'm not sure what the problem was there. Starting off with the Bronco testing on a bright sunny day at the same location we left off with the bicycle testing. Pocket 3 in the Z on the left, Pocket 2 on the right. The only difference with this setup is I added a remote microphone in the cab to help alleviate the wind noise. Keep an eye on the Z-axis as we get up to speed. You will notice that it lifts up and wants to stay up, probably due to the wind. So if the Z-axis was able to help stabilization in vehicle situations, it would probably have to be placed behind some kind of a windscreen, or at least limited to slower speeds. Thumbs up at least for the zero-turn Bronco. And to be fair, we'll let the Pocket 2 ride on the Z-Axis also. It would appear that even time-lapse footage is going to have issues in severe conditions without some type of a shock-absorbing mount, or at least located in the vehicle in a less jarring location. Pocket 2 is on the left in the Z-axis, and Pocket 3 is on the right. Road section right there. Saw the Z-axis go up and down quite a bit, and from what I've seen so far, it's pretty much just like the bicycle ride, where the high frequency vibrations are really just kind of shaking everything pretty good. Pretty smooth here, although it does still shake it a little bit on the, especially on the. Well, actually, both of them are shaking pretty good. Take a little hike on this trail here since nobody's parking here. Actually, right now I'm gonna try to be steady as possible, like I didn't have a gimbal, and we'll see what I can do here. Without the Z-axis, I mean. I'm trying to just kind of keep it level. It's kind of hard. Okay, I think this would be a good spot to swap cameras. And we'll head on back to the Bronco. The Osmo Pocket 3 is on the left in the gimbal, and Pocket 2 is on the right. Not in the gimbal, in the Z-axis. Oops, I got to tune up a little bit here. Good enough. Get down low to the ground again here. fence in there, and we'll see if that kind of shows any hopping. Lots of molehills here. Okay. Well, it looks some sort of a lock there or something, looks like. Let's take a look at the rocks. Here. Vaseline, huh? Could only guess. Alright, what I think I'm going to do is hold it handheld in the Bronco here. In fact, I'm going to... This was video 17, right? Let's turn the microphone on. Don't know if I can shift with one hand. So I'm going to turn this microphone on. I'm just going to hand hold the gimbals while I drive down the road here a ways, and we'll see if the arm absorbs a lot of the vibrations. Oops. Can't shift, can't steer. Go to fourth. Let's see if we can take off in third here. All right. Definitely see it's not shaking as much or rattling around, so it's probably, even though we're looking through a dirty window, it's probably a much better view. Grab third. Back down to the dam there because it's kind of rough. Alright, third gear, come on. We'll see how that works down there. I Again, the Osmo Pocket 3 is on the left in the Z-Axis. I'm not going to go to the trouble of swapping them. I think we're probably got a good idea of what's going on by now. Definitely would have shaken it pretty good, I think. Have some mud puddles. A bump here. Shut it down here. There's a little parking lot I can pull off. Let's pull her off here and shut her down. Okay, after watching the footage from the G7X over here, I've noticed that this is getting pretty loose, especially on the Bronco and bicycle footage. And I don't think it was that bad when I first assembled this, so I think it's getting pretty bad pretty quickly here. It's probably about ready to fail. You can see there's quite a bit of rotation in it. And it's all in the plastic cap, so I'm going to pop it apart here and I'll show you what I think is failing on it. It's essentially these tabs, and I'll get the close-up lens on here in just a second to show you what they're doing, but these basically just go into two little holes in here and they keep it from rotating while this is turned and locked, because even if this was locked, and it was able to turn, it could undo itself. So that's what those tabs are for. Basically, you just keep it from turning in there. And you know, for what the cap is intended for, it's fine, but it's definitely not holding up when it's got a load on it, and especially in those high vibration situations like the bicycle or the Bronco. So yeah, let me get my close-up lens on there and I'll show you what they're starting to do. Okay, so as you can see, these tabs are kind of wearing out, and in many cases even bending over a little bit. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let's see, there's only so much that this aluminum insert can support. So I mean, it's sticking out quite a ways there. So I think any time now those things are going to totally snap off, and this could easily come loose and fall off, really. So if you look at the original, the Osmo Plus here, you can see it's got the metal lugs on it, and they're a lot shorter, and like I say, metal, and they're probably fit a little bit tighter too. Just being more short and stout like that, you know, it pretty much makes them a lot stronger. It's also got this, which I didn't notice before, but that's kind of like a rubber gasket of some sort on there. And I don't know if that's more of a weather seal, or it might even just be a way to take up any movement in it, you know, if it just crushes that just a little bit and takes up little tiny little vibrations that aren't, you know, when it's not fitting perfectly. So yeah, so that's probably the way it should all be done. It's a little bit more complex to make all that. So I also noticed around the little lugs here you can kind of see like a little bit of plastic dust. I think it's plastic dust, I don't know what it is, but it's definitely some sort of dust buildup, and I think that's just from this thing starting to rub on the metal part on the Z-axis and just kind of starting to wear it out a little bit. Probably doesn't have long in this world, but I think for handheld operations it's probably going to be fine. Yeah, the Bronco and bike stuff, I think that's just a little bit too hard on it. So I think for now I'm going to use this O-ring. It's a 300 series. It's a -325 size. It's a Viton 75 durometer, and I'm going to just go ahead and see if that helps stabilize that any. Definitely makes it more stable. Actually, let me see if the Osmo still works on there. I might want to hit that O-ring. Nope, it's going to work. Okay. And that's definitely a lot better. But as you can see, there is still quite a bit of movement there. It's like half of it's aluminum, half of it's the Osmo. And we'll just see what it does. Maybe I'll do a bicycle torture test first. If anything, yeah, it's going to definitely help make that plastic cap survive. This is the front of the Z-axis here, and I just wanted to show what that O-ring's doing. It's just kind of clamping around this thumb lug here for the locking collar, so it's I think it's gripping it pretty good without actually putting a whole lot more stress on the plastic cap itself. I think it's going to help. Okay, so we got the Osmo Pocket 3 in the Z-axis on the left, and this is after doing the O-ring conversion, or extra clamping, I guess you could call it. And we're on a gravel pathway here, probably about the same roughness as the that logging road was. And I also put both cameras on fast follow mode. So hopefully maybe they'll stay more synchronized that way. But pretty much is just a test to see if that Z-axis is any more stable. It looks like it is a little bit, but they're both still kind of rattling. I go around the tree here. In first gear. Actually, this is a good test here. Osmo Pocket 2 in the Z-axis on the left. And already it looks like it's shaking less than the Osmo 3. Okay, so this will probably be the last attempt at getting some of the shake out of the Z-axis mounting apparatus here. Actually, I think it's now pretty much just all Osmo Pocket 3 issues, mostly between tripod mounting block and the main body there is where I think most of the shaking is taking place. But I put actually two pieces of rubber glue together. It's between the main body here, and the mounting, the little pivot bolt there. We'll just have to try it and see what it does. I got it here on a torture test bike. And we'll see what happens. And as many of you have probably already foreseen, nothing happens. Like the O-ring I used in the previous clips, if this rubber spacer helped at all with the stabilization, it was minimal. You can't really see it, but the rubber spacer falls out as I pass behind the forked tree just up ahead. The stability does seem to get a little worse after that, but the ground is rougher there also. So I think for now, I will be using the Z-axis for handheld and footwork only. And I have one more test I want to perform in that regards before ending this video. And I'm going to label this the exaggerated buffoon testing, where I'm kind of making the Z-axis work a little bit more than it really needs to be. I'm just going to go ahead and walk around in the yard a little bit and just be moving my arm up and down more, or maybe my knees, whatever it takes. I'll be doing this stuff. So yeah, we'll go ahead and start here. So now this would be like the Z-axis is pretty much staying on center, yet the Osmo Pocket 2 off to the right is going to probably be shaking quite a bit. So I'm going to swap cameras and we'll see if we can make the Osmo Pocket 2 outperform the Pocket 3 when the Pocket 2 is in the Z-Axis. Keep in mind that when you still see residual movement in the Z-Axis footage, that could be because I'm not moving in exact same direction that the Z-Axis compensates for. If I am moving up and down at a slight angle and the Z-Axis corrects for only straight 90s, then the remaining amount becomes similar to a straight left and right shift that neither the Z-Axis or the Osmo Pocket can correct. Okay, still doing some exaggerated buffoon testing. Whoa. If you hear clunking, that's when the Z-axis is bottomed out, either top or bottom. Okay, we've got foreground and background with a tree for the foreground. So let's shake this puppy here. Trying not to bottom out the Z-axis, but every once in a while I'll get out of rhythm here. Let's get a little bit closer. Let's get right in here. In conclusion, and after reviewing the footage, it appeared that the Z-axis was helping in the first bicycle torture testing. Not sure what happened along the way. Maybe the joints wore out, or at least loosened up some much quicker than I anticipated. However, I would say it is obvious that a Z-axis is not going to do much to correct for sharp or high frequency vibrations. Some form of dampener would be required for these types of situations. It might take an expensive specialized device just for that purpose, or something free and easy like simply holding it in your hand. Even just repositioning the camera to a lower and more neutral spot in the vehicle with softer suspension can do wonders. The footage you are seeing now is from a Pocket 3 directly mounted to a tripod without a Z-axis inside a 1997 Toyota Tacoma. The occasional pothole or thick branch in the road still may show up as a stutter in the video, but it is nowhere near as bad as what we saw in the bicycle and Bronco clips. As far as Pocket 2 versus Pocket 3, I'd have to say that the 2 handled the torture testing a little bit better both on and off the Z-axis. Maybe because the Pocket 3 is a little bit more top-heavy with its bigger sensor and screen, and I don't think the extra movement between a main body and the tripod mount section was helping either. However, when you combine the Pocket 3 with the Z-axis and use them for what they were intended, which is drone-like stability for a handheld, walking while filming situations, it's tough to beat. Yes, there is software out there that will correct the movement and give similar stability results at the cost of some sensor real estate, but nothing can be done about the motion blur that still gets left behind. The best way to keep that from happening is to stop it before it reaches the sensor. Well, that concludes this 3-part series. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.